to the chaotic life of a Canadian mom. Welcome back to any of my subscribers, and a great big hello to any of my new subscribers or any subscribers from my other channel. So today hubby's out doing my chicken chores this morning for me. I'll insert some pictures and stuff. It's a frosty morning finally here in Canada, Alberta, Canada. It's a very odd year so far. It is December 1st and we have no snow. We are getting a little spoiled. We were out fixing some fence last week in shirt sleeves, and I don't remember the last time that happened here in Canada. But it being December 1st, it's also the first day of hunting season being over. We were lucky enough to fill 2 of our deer tags. Thing 1 actually got his first deer this year, so I'm very proud and excited about that. And Bart got his deer. I unfortunately did not fill my tags. I was lucky enough to get in on a draw, so I could have got a whitetail as well as a muley. But time and health kind of dictated whether I filled my tags or not, and in all honesty, my biggest thing was making sure that Thing 1 got his deer this year, and he's stoked about it. He's so proud of it, and I didn't know it would be such an emotional moment for me, so I'm super proud of him. So today, what we are going to set up to do is we are going to utilize that deer, and we're going to grind some of that meat. Now, this is going to lead into a couple other videos. So today we are going to show you how we grind meat, because deer venison is a very lean meat, so there's not a lot of fat content. So when you're wanting to use it for things like, we're going to make some hot dogs. If you're Canadian, it's kind of a recipe similar to the old school Gainers Wieners. We're also going to be doing some honey garlic pepperettes, and we'll walk you through that procedure. But before you can do any of that, you need to get your meat ready. So what we need to do today is grind up that venison that we have. It's defrosted in the fridge, and we're going to mix that off with some pork. Bart will be better able to walk you through all this. This is definitely not my comfy zone. Bart's definitely the master of all things meat. Family friendly. My realm on this channel is probably going to be more about the baking side of things. I am heavy into sourdough. I have all my utensils, my sourdough stuff, baking, that kind of thing. Whereas I have no hesitation to admit that as far as cooking, I'd say overall, Bart is the master of that domain. I do more fermenting, that type of thing, which I hope to get some videos up. I've just got to get reset up. As some of you know, we built a new house, so welcome to my kitchen. My very simple country kitchen that I love. And hopefully we'll get some different rooms in these videos as well as we work through this new journey on this channel. So I'm going to break here, and Bart should be in from doing chores shortly, and we will get to preparing. So Bart is back from doing all the choring for me. Thank you. Mm-hmm. We had a happy flock this morning. Only 5 eggs, a little low for the morning.
I think they were nervous. The door didn't open this morning, so I think the girls didn't want to be put on display in front of the boys.
Chickens are funny. They do have their attitudes and their personalities, and we're having issues with our door, so I guess that just means we keep checking all the time.
Checking on chickens.
Checking on chickens.
Chicken.
Chicken checking.
There we go.
Anyway, so we can start now. I'll let Bart walk you through this process, because as I mentioned, he's the meat master. And
meat master.
So I'll let you take over and tell him what we're using, why we're doing it, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, everything we're doing here is actually done with the venison that we harvested, excepting the fact that we need to get a little more fat in it. The deer is way too lean, and the fat that's on the deer makes the deer taste very gamey. That's the taste most people don't like when they actually eat deer.
So yeah, so if you've ever eaten wild meat at a friend's place or a restaurant,
and you're put off by it, chances are it was a hunk of fat that was on it. The meat is actually quite nice, especially ours. Ours is grain fed right off the field in front of us here.
Prior to hunting season opening, we had about 7 that every morning, about 100 yards off my deck, maybe 200 yards off my front deck, would go across. And it's like, but the first day hunting season opened, they were gone.
They're gone.
They were gone.
Yeah.
So I imagine now that hunting season's over, we'll see them a lot more.
Probably now. I was even imagining this morning. But anyways, so we are going to mix it off 50-50 with pork. We actually were up and bought a nice pork shoulder. Pork butt, pork shoulder. Pork butt's better, but I mean, yeah, pork, and that's actually pork butt and shoulder is both front shoulder. One's on top of the other. I mean, so it's almost identical types of meat. The bone is different. The big difference really is for the guys that are smoking the meat. The pork butt is the cut of choice.
And if we're lucky, we can convince Bart to do a video on how to smoke and do all that pork butt stuff.
Yeah, I don't have fancy anything, but it works. So anyways, we'll grab the pork, get chopping it up into cube-sized bits that'll fit into my grinder. And then I've already taken out of the freezer and weighed out the same amount of weight. It's the same weight, same amount of weight, same weight amount. Horse for the cart. Anyways, we'll do the deer next, and then we'll kind of do a hand mix, and then when we decide what we're doing, as far as either pepperettes or wieners or any other type of sausage, we've separated it all out, mix it up good, so it's well blended. Then we'll mix that stuff in, run through the grinder again, let it rest, stuff it, let it rest, smoke it.
There's the synopsis when I have to put chapters in. Step 1.
It's one of these and one of these and one of these.
You just got to, when I'm editing, I'll just watch for the hand motion.
There we go.
So we'll get that set up.
Okay, the one big thing, and Jamie will write this stuff down for us. We want to make sure we keep track of the weights. The big reason there is not so we know how much we end up with, it's how much cure you use. The cure keeps the botulism, all the bad stuff away. We want to treat it for the right amount of meat, but we don't want to over-treat it, because any over-treatment that isn't used, obviously, you know, any of these chemicals end up in our bodies. We want to try and keep things as natural as we can, but sometimes you got to protect yourselves. It's no different than anything else. I don't know. I had no good example, but it was going to be great.
It was going to be.
When it was going to come to me, it was going to be great, right off the cuff.
We'll think about it, and if we come up with something, I'll edit it in. The really great thought that should have been.
Yeah. It's like on what movie is that where it says third line here?
Yes, right, yeah. So now Bart is, because he's more skilled at a lot of this stuff, like he's taken knife sharpening classes and he's got all the fancy.
And these are not my fancy knives. I don't use my knives.
But
if you ever see somebody doing this, shut their channel off.
The place where he took his knife sharpening course actually had not nice things to say about Gordon Ramsay and his fancy sharpening, but
do we have to talk about the pull-aways?
Well, we took a break. The phone rang. It's life.
Yeah, that feels good. All right, so we'll just take the wrapper off. Jamie, you want to write down pork, 3.72 kilograms. And again, like I said, we just want to make sure we're right on our cure. That's the biggest reason. If you're a little more pork, a little less pork compared to the deer, it's really not a big deal. The fat is what you're after. A little bit of pork flavor. And I mean, I love pork. Pork is my favorite.
Which made it very difficult when he was working overseas in Saudi and there was no pork. So when he'd come home, there were a lot of ham and bacon and pork every night.
So we'll just cube this up. I'll cut it into strips to begin with. And then we will cube it up just so that it can fit through. Actually, you know what? I think I'll do the strips a little thinner. Then you're not dealing with cubes. I mean, once you have a strip in, then the auger in the grinder grabs it. It'll actually pull it through a little bit neater. So, anyways, it doesn't really change things a whole bunch. Just so you know what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. And yeah, this is a boneless piece of meat, so no bone to have to cut around, which is fantastic. So this will be quick. It sure is. It's a nice looking piece of. You can see why we use that. You know, just with the fat. Beautiful. That makes you guy feel bad. We should have actually done this one on the smoker instead, but. I mean, that's on the bigger side, but that should fit through, no problem. So we'll just put that in our... And the other thing too, we want to keep this meat as cold as we can always, especially once we get into the grinding. Basically, I think they say below 4 degrees Celsius, which would be 35, 36 Fahrenheit.
That's one conversion I've never been able to do. It's hot or it's cold.
It's obviously complicated.
It is complicated.
So anyways, we're just cutting into nice strips here. This is the way I like to do this, but you won't see many videos where they actually do though. Everybody cuts it into cubes because somebody said you cut it into cubes and then everybody just follows along. So I'm a pork rebel.
It's one of those things, like we're by no means professional anythings, but this is these are the steps that we've done before and it's worked, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Nope. So
absolutely. So we're just cutting into nice kind of inch by half inch, 3/4 inch.
You should hold it up and compare it to a normal size hand. Normal hand.
So once we're done cutting this up, we will get it back into a frosty environment. Get a nice little chill on it. They always say, try and put it in the they. Again, I'm copying they on my recipes. But they always say put it maybe a half hour into a freezer just to put the chill back into it. And it's so the fat maybe I said that before, so the fat doesn't smear in your sausage and separate out.
So now, question. Mm-hmm. So you're cutting it lengthwise.
Right.
Now, does it matter at this point if you're going with the grain against the grain?
Not at all. It's going to go through the blades of the grinder.
That's what I figured, but
it's
one of those questions because I thought...
No, I'm doing it this way because it's longer cuts and then it's less cuts. And then it also pulls through the grinder better. I feel anyways, but I'm sure somebody with Cuisinart, me using their grinder, is going to tell me I'm wrong.
Which we do have an actual meat grinder. Like, I know I've got my KitchenAid that I love, and we have the attachments for the meat grinder, but at one point we were processing so much stuff that
we just, something that maybe people don't think about, like for a long time, and actually still even.
Yeah.
Like when we get meat, we might get a 30-pound chunk of beef.
Like a primal cut is what it's called.
Yeah, or what we call it.
Oh yeah, what we call it, like from a
Costco or even from our butcher. And I mean, yes, you make ground beef out of some scraps, whatever's left over, like when they're butchering, when they're cutting up your meat into steaks and whatever. But if you get a nice big chuck or sirloin or whatever your taste is, to grind your own ground beef,
the amount of money you save.
The money you save, but also the product you have that is way nicer. I mean, it's fresh and it's delicious, and it's not, I don't want to say it's floor sweepings, any of this. Like these guys are, they're using up the parts that come off that don't make steak or don't make, the trimmings.
It only makes sense. Like, nobody's going to grind up the best steak to turn it into ground beef. So,
And as delicious as it is, nobody's buying 30-pound briskets. So they grind up the brisket. They grind up the chuck. Because I enjoy a chuck steak. I think chuck is probably the best tasting meat in the entire cow. And this is a pig, by the way, but we're just talking about grinding as I'm cutting. But, if we got a big chuck and ground it up all ourselves and we vacuum seal it, and we vacuum seal it into flat little packages, stack nice in the freezer, throw it in cold water, 20 minutes.
that's one huge tip that I've learned along all of our years of doing this, is when you vacuum seal it to freeze it, if you make it flat, then it stacks so nice in your freezer, and it's not just a game of Jenga every time you're trying to...
It stacks nice, but actually almost the bigger thing is that you haven't got 2 hours of this thing thawing out or 4 hours of it thawing out.
That's true.
Creating bacteria and growing whatever. It's 20 minutes and it's thawed out. It's on the grill.
Okay.
It's fresh. You're actually, now probably as far as food laws go, maybe wrong, but whatever.
Okay.
My wife tells me I'm wrong all the time, so it really doesn't matter anymore. I'm used to it.
They know me. They like me. No. They like you more.
I doubt it. All right, let's get this outside.
We're gonna
and
get
I'll
this.
and then we'll get the venison.
Yeah, we'll get this out into a cold place and do the venison. We'll film that.
Yeah,
we'll speed it all up.
We'll chop everything up. Okay, we're back. This is our venison. Nice, beautiful, dark red, rich meat.
These are all the packages are from Thing One's deer, so.
Yeah. So we'll just weigh out here and then we'll know where we're at. We got 1.64. We've got 1.06. We have got 0.69. And we have got 0.6. What is that, Jamie? Add it up.
He knows I suck at math, and I'm not going to embarrass myself by counting on my fingers.
Right. All right, so we end up with 2.99 kilograms, which is 3 kilograms. We end up 3.7 kilograms pork. So we had a little more pork, which is, it's no big deal.
Well, and there's just so much fat on the pork, and that's what we're after anyway.
No,
so
it's like I said before, it's not what meat we have more of. It's that we know how much we have. Then at least we know for the cure.
Well, and the cure too, like that's the part that always freaks me out, because I always think, oh my gosh, if you don't measure it just exact, you're going to get too much and you're going to die or something. And
but the cure is one that you're supposed to measure very, very closely.
So
the spices don't matter.
Spices are, taste, whatever, but yeah, the cure, that freaks me out every time.
And in fact, when we do mix this up, before we put the cure in, we'll actually mix it up as good as we can, and we'll fry a little bit on the stove, just in a pan. And then we can check if we like the taste. If we don't, we can always add in more pepper.
Yeah, pepper. Salt, pepper, garlic. Those are probably the three big ones.
So now, the reason this was a lot of grind mixes, it's little pieces anyways. Yes, we could take some silver skin off, but no, we're not going to. It's going through the grinder twice. It'll be fine. You wouldn't want to cook whole muscle like this because the taste won't go in.
And when they're cuts like this would have been a piece off.
Yeah, this is a forearm.
Forearm or something. And
so I'm not actually cutting any of this yet. Some of this is still nice and froze too, which is good. See, just little pieces. A lot of this was just like, this is the trimmings off the deer that we had.
And a lot of people that, it breaks my heart, because I grew up on wild meat and I love wild meat. So many people I find now, it's like they get their deer, they take the back strap out and
throw the rest
away. I'm like, there's still 100 pounds of meat that you can get off this thing.
Maybe not 100 deer.
Maybe not 100.
Maybe 12.
But still. And at some point, I did film a video of when Bart got his deer. And
Bart doesn't want it shown because Bart is not going to be on a wildlife channel anytime soon.
No. But you know what? I might edit it and put it up and show you how.
So you might come across either a little bit of gristle you don't want, or a little bit of fat, or a gland even sometimes. This is just gristly stuff. But I didn't like that. So we'll just keep that to the side. And if we do end up with a bunch of it, we will weigh it out and then we'll take that off of our tally. I took this out yesterday.
Yeah, so this has been out of the freezer. It's been in the fridge all yesterday, all night, and it's, watch is dead. It's almost 10:30 in the morning and it's still frozen.
24 hours.
Yeah.
That's all right. Like I said before, you want frost in this actually a little bit. Jamie did a good job here when we were butchering this. Maybe not on these pieces because these were leg pieces, so they're not as fatty ever. Designated grind pieces. But pieces like this is got just a little bit of trim in here, and that's fine. Little tiny bits. I mean, I shouldn't even bother. Now I'm just being nitpicky. But I'm used to that. Yeah. Once we get her hearing aids and she can start listening, that'll be a lot better. My goodness. You know, this year it was, one day we'll do a tour of my pantry, but I have a nice big roll-out counter, so when we get a deer, we're able to get it off. Bring in quarters. Bring in quarters and break it down in here, which is nice, because then you're not fighting cold or bugs. Yeah, they're all open. And lots of times I'm able to separate it out into big chunks and get the fat off, and Bart knows more of the... Bart don't know. We'll pretend Bart knows more of the cuts. Bart pretends he knows. Yeah. But we know enough to be dangerous in the sense of like... Well, we know how to make the stuff into a couple of roasts that are easy to pick out. Yeah. And then the cuts that are going to turn into either this or jerky. Bart laughs. I get technical terms when I'm parting it out. I'm like, this is the football roast because it's a nice roast and it's kind of football shaped, and I don't know to this day what it actually is, but yeah, it makes it easy when you're parting it out, when you kind of know that no, all of this is going to end up ground, so it's not as big of a deal to be getting all the silver skin or whatever off of it. I'm not pulling this apart. These are actually the pieces. It's just they're still just a little froze together, which is, like I said, good. So when we go to grind this, we grind the pork on its own. We don't try to do a piece of pork. We can do whatever you want. It all ends up the same. I was just thinking this is so much colder than the pork. Oh, it will be. We have all the same. Yeah, that's right. It'll all be the same, and we just want them shallow enough in here that we can chill it all evenly. Chill it all evenly. Yeah. No, we've done that before, where we kind of grab a piece, piece. And then we'll grab one of the third buckets from downstairs of these. So we've got something to, or actually we can make something at that time, and then we'll have one spares to grind into. All fine. So this is the basis, I guess. Like we said kind of at the start of the video, this is going to be the basis for pretty much everything. I mean, whether it's sausage, whether it's is it worth weighing that a little bit, hon? I don't think so. I don't think so either, but we'll do it anyways. Point was, yeah, so we've got 2.97 now. Yeah, it's nothing to write home about. No, I'm already home though. Okay, so I guess we'll cut here for now. We'll get this chilling so that we can move on to the grinding when we come back.
So we're back from letting our meat chill. And at this point,
Okay, I actually honestly haven't even opened this up yet to see, but I got my laser gun. We'll see what this temperature is. We're hoping for 4 degrees Celsius or below. So we will see what we're at.
the moment of truth.
-5, which is good. That's below 4. That's beautiful. And 0.6, -0.6. So we're below 0. That's fantastic. Fantastic. So no, that's good. That we might even be able to get 2 grinds out of this before
It gets
we
too
have
warm.
to chill again.
So just to talk you guys through these, and none of this is sponsored, by the way. I know there's a whole bunch of drama about disclosure and everything. None of this is sponsored, but these meat tubs, we got some at Cabela's the first go.
Yeah.
But these ones we actually found for cheaper at Costco. So if they have Costco everywhere.
By a third.
By a third, yeah.
I mean, they were a third.
they were
Rather than $25, they were $8.
they were a lot cheaper at Costco than they were at Cabela's or Bass Pro, wherever you are.
I still love Cabela's. I shop there all the time.
Yes.
I'm not slagging them in the least.
Just for information wise. So if you guys are doing this at home,
This I've had for probably 20 years. You'll notice it's not super shiny because I just wash it in the washing machine, even though it says not to. So it takes the shine off it. But I mean, it's still, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not. It's just what it is, and I don't care.
If you wanted it shiny again, I think you wash it with, what is it, that barkeeper's friend or something is
Maybe.
supposed to.
But it's Cuisinart, and I mean, I've had this thing forever. You know, tell you the model number, I'd probably say 20 years, but it's probably all of that. But
I think I had a trouble finding a
yeah,
model number when I bought you your new blade.
But I mean, it's we bought the blade because we lost one, not because anything was wrong with it.
And like
And then
I
we
said,
found it.
yeah. And like I said earlier, the only reason we use this over this is this has more horsepower.
This is meant for this.
And it's meant for this. You're not going to burn out a motor in this like you would in a KitchenAid or something.
No.
So.
Especially if you're doing a pound or two, if you're that type of person, great. You're bringing home 30-pound things to grind. That's what.
Back. We've had this sitting in a cold spot for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And
There's 0 all around, which is awesome. There's -1, -2. Even on the outside, we are. Yep, we're all good.
so we're good to go. And stuff falling apart here, falling over. So we've done the first coarse grind, as you saw, which I've sped up just because nobody wants to watch that long of that. The sun's coming in our window here. When we built our house, we wanted really nice big windows, but didn't really plan for this. But so now what he has done is like he's even chilled the parts, the mechanisms, I guess not the mechanism, but all the parts.
The grinder, yeah.
For outside as well, because as we said earlier, it's important to keep all the meat as cold as possible so you don't get the smearing from the fat.
Yeah, we're about -10 on that.
So now he's changed out to the fine blade, which I always kind of think it's funny. It's
Fine plate.
That fine plate, because I was going to say it's not a blade. And so we'll just follow the same process that we did before, just adding this in. And while we're doing this, it's also going to mix the pork with the venison. And will get us ready for our next video, which will be the actual sausage making.
Yeah, I mean, if you were grinding and making everything right now into pepperoni, and only making pepperoni, or we could even take half of this, but I like to do it all, especially when we're doing a large batch, just grind it all. But you could mix in your ice water, your spices, your cure right now, mix it, grind it, and then it's processed better. Then you can chill it down, stuff it. But anyways, we're not doing that. We're just going to grind it all, and then we'll mix everything in the KitchenAid with the beater blade. That's not that one. One of those blades, or not blades, dough hook, whatever.
Everything's a blade.
Everything's a blade. But anyways, we're just going to grind everything down, and then we got about 3 different things that we're wanting to do, because we don't want to have 20 pounds of anything. We'd rather have a variety of stuff. So anyways, on to the grind.
On to the grinding. To just stop the grinder here and maybe show you guys like the nice coloring of how, what am I trying to say?
The blend, the mix.
The blend, like you saw before, how red the venison was and how light colored
here's
the pork.
After first, I mean, you can spot the darker meat is the venison, the lighter meat is the pork. And then now we're getting to be very uniform.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's looking beautiful.
I think so.
Yep.
Go from there. So as you can see, we've got all of that now gone through the fine plate. It really helped matters when we were doing that coarse grind to kind of mix between the venison and the pork. Just makes things a little bit more uniform.
Uniform is the word.
Uniform. Of the day. Everything's a blade and everything's uniform. Life is grand. So I think that's that. That's what's our process, or what's involved in grinding / mixing.
This gets us to the stage. This is a little fine for if you're wanting to, in my mind, for chili or anything else. We would have probably run on the medium plate.
So when we do our ground beef,
we always go with the coarse and then the medium.
Medium.
Yeah.
So
this is the coarse and the fine. Being we know we're doing all sausage type stuff here next.
Yeah.
This gets us to the nice size, and you can see. I hope you can see it in there. It's nice.
I can zoom it in when I edit.
Sure. It's nice, and you'd see the fat's not smeared out at all. But now it's fine enough that when we put it into the mixer with water, cure, spices, we can get the good protein extraction out of it. If it's coarse, you'll end up with some sinews, which actually is not bad in a summer sausage or a
it all depends.
A fresh sausage.
Depends on your desired outcome.
Kind of what you're making, yeah.
What you're making.
And even between the sausages here, like the pepperettes will be a little coarser than what the wieners will be.
Yeah.
The wieners will be very, almost whipped.
Yeah. So if all that interests you, make sure you stay tuned, because right now we will be putting this back in the cold. A lot of in and out of the cold, but we want this nice and cold before we start mixing water and seasonings for our next step. So if you enjoyed this, Make sure you like, subscribe, make sure that bell is on. If you have any questions about this, put it in the comments and I'll make Bart answer you. And until next time, stay tuned because I'm not even sure. Pepperettes, wieners.
I haven't been told yet.
We'll figure something out. So until next time, thank you so much. Bye.